I'm Dawna Hetzler.
And I'm Sally Smith.
We, just like you, are bravely walking through the dark valleys of life in hopes of scaling joyful summits.
We believe that safe and trusted women are a force to be reckoned with. When we climb together, we can reach the mountaintop.
Many of our challenges come from feeling as if we are stuck while trying to ascend, hiding in crevices, waiting for storms to pass.
Might we suggest that you have a more proactive role in reaching the peaks of your own life?
Let's laugh at the untruths we were taught, from the common religious myths to the lies we believe about our situations and about ourselves.
It is our hope that our time together brings you solace from life's daily drudgery and a bit of lighthearted laughter.
This is a safe place where you are welcome, right where you are, even in your questions and doubts. So rise up, sister. It's time to conquer together.
And we certainly hope you'll say, "Now that's funny!"
Now here's your host, Dawna Hetzler and Sally Smith.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of That's Funny.
I love your sweater. I can't seem to get in mine, but mine says, "Go Jesus, it's your birthday. Go Jesus, it's your birthday."
Oh, well, welcome. It's almost Christmas, and we love Christmas, our ugly sweaters. I love this little snowman from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Hi. We are finishing up. We're wrapping up this final topic of God's got a better plan. Now that's funny.
You caught me when I was drinking.
Funny. All right. So how did it go for you, Miss Sally, on the disruptions of, when somebody or something or God pops in and it feels like, an interruption into your day. And Mary was so good about saying, "Okay, let's hear what you got to say, Gabriel." And, okay. And then let it be as you have said. And she just goes on with it. How is it for you?
It's been okay. It's really hard for me because I always have a plan, and I always, I'm a rule follower, and I do things a certain way. And so I really, really, really have been focusing on, just letting it be, not letting any of the outside get in, and just listening. I think active listening on what's going on.
Right. Yeah, that's so rich and so good. And for me, I don't know if you do, I think you do a word of the year.
Yes.
Every year. Okay. So I have been really waiting on God to see if this is my word, but it kind of sparked from this whole discussion about, being available to God, not being so uptight about life and my plans and all the things that the way I see it, the gospel according to Dawna, it should go like this. And so I've been holding the word unfold before God.
Oh.
And I think that be my word for the year. Nothing else has come so far. So I'm just holding that very loosely, but it's all about letting life unfold for me and not thinking, okay, well, if this happens, then I'll do this. And, if that happens, then I'll try that. And if none of those things happen, then I've got game plan G, E, and F, and so it's just about holding life loosely and letting life naturally unfold. Because I think of all the times of when I start, micromanaging my life, and I could just see God like, okay, this could have been so much easier. Like, just put everything down. It's down. Shimmering waters. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Peaceful mountain is over here.
Peaceful mountain. Can you hear me? I mean, I am just really working on letting life unfold as it's supposed to. So that is, I think, going to be my word, which I hate because it's very challenging and it's going to press me. But that's what our practices do is they grow us, and that's what we want. You know, it's one thing to like hear something and go, "Yeah, that sounds really good. I'll get to that at some point." But you know what? I feel like we're going to wake up when we have that attitude. We're going to wake up one day and be like 85, 90 and go, now I'm too old to do it. You know, what does it matter now? And then we're going to get to heaven and God's going to be like, Dawna, you didn't let life unfold. Look at all these things I had planned for you and you got in the way.
Yep.
You know, so anyways, for whatever that's worth, this time together with you, Sally, and all of you who faithfully watch and send messages to us, I mean, it's transforming me in a huge way. So thank you for allowing us to be in this space with you, to have coffee with you, and to laugh about some of the myths that, you know, some of them are true, but we just don't want to say those certain things. So it's been fun journeying, but I really do think my word's going to be this unfolding of life and letting it happen. So
I love that. You know, I want to share with you something happened to me yesterday. I was at Walmart and we were getting ready to go in, and there was this group outside selling crosses, wooden crosses. And so we stopped and we started talking, you know, to them, and they said, you know, we're with a ministry. And the guy was talking to me, and he said he was telling me his story, which maybe in the future we might have him as a guest on here.
Yeah.
But he was telling me his story. And through his story, I don't want to tell his story right now, but through his story, he said to me, God had a better plan for me.
Oh, hello.
And so he and I got to talking about that God had a better plan for me type thing. And so I was kind of talking to him about our show and how we've actually been, you know, pulling apart this topic. And he said to me, I never really thought about it that way.
Wow.
I know, but there's a lot more to the story. So we'll unfold that.
Oh, see, you're confirming my word. Oh, that's awesome. And isn't it neat how God just kind of gives you those little God winks or confirmations about, yep, we're on the right track. This is what we're doing. And we said going into this, if it was even for just you and me transforming through our spiritual disciplines and having a few laughs about, you know, lightheartedness and uplifting each other, if it's just the two of us, that's all that matters. But it is God's using it in big ways. So I love that. I absolutely love it. So we're going to hop in then to Mary's story and kind of fast forward into God's better plan for her. And along the way, Mary got to, you know, see her son, Jesus, blessed in the temple when they took him to the temple. And then, you know, them leaving the temple at one point, and Jesus was left behind and he was found there preaching. And then the first miracle happens, water to wine. And I remember reading Mary and Mary saying to the disciples, whatever Jesus says, you know, do it, you know, just listen to him. And, you know, this whole story of Jesus's life and Mary interwoven through him, you know, as he starts his ministry all the way to the cross. And Mary was at the cross when Jesus died. And just to make you feel like that we're connected here, I'm going to wear my glasses too.
Oh, you got reading glasses too.
Yeah. David catches me wearing them from time to time. He's like, aha, and I take them off. And I'm like, I was just looking a little closer at something. I don't know. All right. So in John chapter 19, verse 25, Jesus's mother stood near his cross. So did his mother's sister and Mary Magdalene. Jesus saw his mother there. He also saw the disciples he loved standing nearby. And Jesus said to his mother, "Dear woman, here is your son."
he said to the disciple, "Here is your mother." And from that time on, the disciples took her into his home. And so here's the scene coming together of, I wonder if I mean, she had to be so like just beyond herself with grief. And, how could this be happening? How is this a better plan? And so many times in the scripture after the crucifixion, Jesus resurrects, the disciples are going to the tomb. The women go to the tomb and they find it empty. And then scripture says, and then they remembered what Jesus said to them. And then the men go, and it says, and the disciples remembered what Jesus said to them. Or the disciples were walking on the road, and Jesus comes up alongside and starts talking to them, and they don't recognize Jesus. And then they have this conversation saying like, what, weren't our hearts on fire burning? Didn't we know? And then the lights come on and remembered what Jesus said to us. And so anyways, it's just a reminder. I wonder if Mary at the cross was reminded that the plan wasn't to have this great life. It was to raise the Messiah and bring him to this point. But I wonder at the cross, she probably didn't remember that in her grief or understand completely. What do you think?
Right. No, I agree. I mean, I don't know that I could.
Yeah. How could you take that in and process it? But at some point along the way, as the resurrected Jesus came back to life and visited with, the women and the disciples, they remembered what he said. And so I'm thinking this Christmas season that we have the heart of Mary, that we will start out as we did last week with letting life unfold. And even though God has this better plan, he always does, is so many times more difficult a plan than we can imagine. But it does some things to our hearts, doesn't it?
It
Like
does.
changes me. I look back at my journey and I go, I am not the same person that I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Thank God. So if you are listening and you're one of those people who's holding on to this idea of how it should have been, or, you're not good enough because all these things in your life transpired and you can't let go, I hope you can take Mary's story and just be like, okay, he does have a better plan. I hate that it's harder. I hate it. But I love the God that we serve. And I hope you can just take that into the Christmas season, thinking not only about the birth of the Messiah, but the bigger plan for your life and how it's going to have such an impact at the end. Does that make sense?
It does. It really does. I mean, it just like almost kind of just gives me goosebumps. You know what I mean? Like I know this. I know all of this. I am faithful. I know this, but how do we really, really practice it?
Yes, that is such a great question. I think we just keep plugging along with God and we wrestle with him and we ask the questions, the hard questions. I think of King David, I mean, there was times where in the Psalms, he's like, kill my enemies, Lord. I mean, he was so real with them, right? Do I not hate you? And I'm like, oh, he was Sicilian, definitely. He's like, that's why I like my monster. Big monster. But then I'm like, okay, fine, Lord, and didn't this character on Rudolph like become a big softie?
Yes.
I did. But it's a great question, Sally. And I think that we just keep trekking with God. And then we have others. And what I love in this scripture is this picture that's depicting the disciple taking care of Jesus's mother. From that time on, the disciples took her into his home and they had each other in community. And so I think with trekking along with God, asking the hard questions, working on your practices to actually transform, don't wait until you're 80, 85 to get through your junk, because we all have it. And then the beauty of it is the community like we have, and we have you and I and other sister girls that are in our lives that take us in, be with those people, help them help you, to get past some of the stuff so that we can claim, like Mary, let it be to me as you say it is, just wrestle with the Lord, ask the questions, do the practices, be in community, and be real with your sisters. That's just off the top. I mean, that was not scripted, as you know. I'm
Right.
like, so hopefully it makes sense. But that's where the end of the scripture tied to. He took care of Jesus's mother, and he took her in. So that community is so, so important. So be together this Christmas holiday. That's what I've got for you.
I love it. I love that. And don't let those disruptions in.
That's right.
That's really, really important.
Yeah. Or when the disruptions come, handle it more like Mary and not like Dawna. How about that?
Okay. I can do that.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you, everybody. And we want to wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We're going to be back next year with some incredible interviews as we continue this style for just a little bit longer, because I want to interview some people in Florida. Sally wants to interview some people in Colorado, and then we're going to gather back together again. But until then, subscribe, like, share with your friends. Have an amazing, amazing Christmas. Remember, to just embrace the moment, let life unfold. If that's a good word for you, use it. We'll put Sally on the spot next week about what her word is. No, I love it. I would like for you to put me on the spot. I'm like, oh, she's going to get me back one of these days. But keep trekking with us, and we adore all of your input. Thanks for growing both of us. And remember, don't believe the lie that God has a better plan. Now that's
funny.
What he does.
From the heavens high above, I feel the touch of his laughter and love. In every moment, tear and smile, God's humor is heard, every step, every mile. Keep walking, dear sister. You've got this.